Hello class, here we are, Module 6, Chapter 9, Econ 251, Principles of Macroeconomics. Moving into the chapter on aggregate expenditure and aggregate demand. So we're talking about the MPS, MPC, consumption function, and these other things. So marginal propensity to save, marginal propensity to consume, and the consumption function. And as the book tells us, it says that consumption is probably the greatest part, or approximately 70% of aggregate expenditure. And so when we think about consumption, one quote that sticks in my mind, I was interviewing in my undergraduate days for an internship for a marketing position at the natatorium and big sports complex at the university I was at. And one of the things the director of marketing was telling me one day after I'd gotten the position was, you could tell if you wanted to work at a place, particularly in marketing, by the vehicles in the parking lot when you went up to that firm that you were interviewing at. And you could tell if everyone was driving, Hondas and Toyotas and your mid-level sedans, that it might be okay. But if everybody was driving Mercedes-Benz and BMWs and Porsches, that's definitely where you wanted to work, because that meant their income was at a level where they could afford to purchase those high-end vehicles. Now, if you went into the parking lot and you saw the reserved space and you saw BMWs and the Porsches and Lamborghinis and other high-end exotic and expensive vehicles, and then the rest of the parking lot was, had the Toyotas or perhaps the Fiats and the Kias, maybe you don't want to work there, because that means the discretionary income between the high end, the CEOs and whatnot, and the employees was quite great, so that maybe isn't a place you wanted to work at. So that's essentially what we're talking about with consumption related to income, is how are we spending those dollars? How are we spending the dollars that we have earned through our income? And that's what consumption really means. So the consumption function is if all other things stay the same, so nothing else changes, the relationship between our consumption of goods and services and our income. And that's how we come up with aggregate expenditure, and then we get into aggregate demand. So those are the items we're going to look at this week. Keep up the good work with discussion boards. Make sure that we're posting early, posting often, and all posts are adding value to the conversation. And by adding value, it means we're not just saying, oh, good post about your views on that. We're actually challenging them in some way in a substantial manner, and of course respectful as well. With assignments, that is the practical side. We're trying to apply the concepts and theories and principles that we're getting out of the textbook and use them in a way to know how to graph them, how to complete tables, how to answer questions based on the, dare I say that nasty four-letter word, math, the math behind the theories and principles. Can we actually do the math to calculate it out to make an informed decision? Because remember, economics is a behavioral science, and it's all about consumer behavior.